In this lesson, we're going to provide a quick summary of the cloud principles that you just learned in this section of the course. Now, cloud computing is a technology that allows users to access and manage data and applications over the internet. To ensure you fully understand the basic cloud computing principles, let's quickly review the definitions of some key terms and concepts. First, we have the 6 characteristics of cloud computing, including elastic, self-service, scalability, broad network access, pay-as-you-go, and availability. These 6 features are commonly found in most cloud services. First, elastic. Elastic refers to the ability to scale up or scale down resources as needed. An example of elasticity in cloud computing is being able to add more virtual servers during peak usage times and then release them after that usage subsides. Second, self-service. Self-service refers to the ability for customers to provision and manage their own resources. An example of self-service in cloud computing is that the customer is able to create and manage virtual servers through a web-based interface without any human interaction. Third, scalability. Scalability refers to the ability to handle increased demand for resources. An example of scalability in cloud computing is being able to add more storage capacity as you need to be able to accommodate your growing data needs. Fourth, broad network access. Broad network access refers to the ability to access cloud services from any location with an internet connection. A great example of broad network access in cloud computing is your ability to access and manage your virtual servers from any device connected to the internet, whether that's a desktop, a laptop, a server, a tablet, or even a smartphone. Fifth, pay-as-you-go. Pay-as-you-go refers to the ability to pay for resources based on utilization. An example of pay-as-you-go in cloud computing is being charged for the number of virtual servers that are being used and the amount of storage you're consuming. And sixth, availability. Availability refers to the ability for cloud services to always be available. An example of availability in cloud computing is having multiple data centers located around the world to ensure the services are always online and accessible whenever your customer tries to get to them. Next, we have our service models, which are the different ways in which cloud services can be delivered to customers, including software as a service, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and anything as a service. The first service model we have is known as software as a service, or SaaS, known as SaaS. Software as a service refers to software applications that are delivered over the internet and typically accessed through a web browser. Examples include things like email, customer relationship management software, and human resource management systems. A great real-world example of software as a service is using something like Office 365, which is a subscription-based online version of the Microsoft Office tool suite that can be accessed directly through a web browser. The second service model we have is known as infrastructure as a service, or IaaS. Now, IaaS, or IaaS, refers to the delivery of virtualized computing resources over the internet, including servers, storage, and networking. A good real-world example of this would be using something like Amazon Web Services to be able to rent virtual servers using EC2, virtual storage using things like EBS or S3, and even network capabilities that are on demand, such as being able to set up things in Route 53. The third service we have is what's known as Platform as a Service, or PaaS. Now, PaaS or PaaS is going to refer to the delivery of a platform to the customers for them to develop, run, and manage their own applications. A great example of Platform as a Service is a tool known as Heroku. Now, Heroku is a platform that enables developers to build, run, and operate applications entirely in the cloud. The fourth service model we have is known as Anything as a Service, or XaaS. XaaS, or Anything as a Service, is a catch-all term that refers to any service that can be delivered over the internet. A great example of Anything as a Service is the use of Security as a Service, or SECaaS. Now, Security as a Service might involve a third-party cybersecurity provider that's going to be able to install some software tools on your systems. And then their remote cybersecurity analyst staff is going to be able to monitor all of your systems to see if you're becoming the victim of a data breach or somebody trying to break into your network. And you do all this by paying a monthly subscription fee, and then they'll outsource the entire security of your network for you to this service provider. Next, we have cloud deployment models, which are different ways in which cloud services can be deployed. This includes public, private, hybrid, community, multi-tenancy, and single-tenancy cloud deployment models. The first deployment model we have is known as public cloud. Now, public cloud models refer to cloud services that are being made available to the general public over the internet. An example of a public cloud service is Microsoft Azure, which offers cloud services to anybody with an internet connection and a credit card. The second deployment model we have is known as a private cloud model. Now, a private cloud model refers to cloud services that are only available to a specific organization or group of users. A good example of a private cloud service might be one created by your own company that provides a lot of cloud services but only to its own employees. If you work for a really large organization like Google or Microsoft or Facebook or the US government, you may be able to use a private cloud offering. The third deployment model we have is what's known as a hybrid cloud model. Now, a hybrid cloud is going to be a deployment model that combines both public and private cloud services. A good example of a hybrid cloud might be where there's a company that's using both AWS or Azure for their public cloud and then their own internal private cloud and connecting the two of those together. By putting some things in a public cloud and some in a private cloud, you now have created a hybrid cloud model. The fourth deployment model we have is what's known as a community cloud. Now, a community cloud is a deployment model where a group of organizations share resources and infrastructure to deliver some kind of cloud services. An example of a community cloud could be a consortium of banking companies that all work in the specific industry, in this case banking, to be able to share a common cloud infrastructure that they can then provide to their customers. Multi-tenancy is another deployment model that your organization could use. In this model, multiple customers are able to share the same infrastructure and resources. A great example of multi-tenancy is a cloud hosting provider that hosts multiple websites on the same physical server. Now, our final deployment model is single tenancy. Now, a single tenancy model is where a customer has exclusive use of the infrastructure and all of the resources. An example of single tenancy is a company that rents an entire data center for their exclusive use. Finally, we have the shared responsibility model. This is a framework that defines the roles and responsibilities of the cloud service provider and the customer when it comes to security and compliance in the cloud. An example of the shared responsibility model in action can be seen in AWS or Amazon Web Services. Now, AWS is a cloud service provider that provides a variety of different cloud services, including storage, computing power, and databases. AWS is responsible for the security of the underlying infrastructure, but you as the customer are going to be responsible for the security of your own data and applications that are being run inside of that cloud. So, for the exam, it's important to remember the 6 characteristics of cloud computing, the 4 types of cloud service models, the 6 types of cloud deployment models, and the meaning of a shared responsibility model when relying on cloud services in your organization.